across something you can't see anywhere else.
Well, to Edelston. It's the sort of place you might just drive through, but don't. It's home to something quite incredible. The great Polish map of Scotland.
Well, I've read about it, I've viewed it on the internet, but when you actually see it, it's staggering.
The map was built 30 years after World War II as a thank you to local people for being so hospitable to Polish soldiers. It's located in the grounds of the Barony Castle Hotel, which was used for officer training by the Polish forces. These troops were stationed in Scotland to protect the coast from invasion.
The Prime Minister, accompanied by Mrs. Churchill, visits coast defences of Scotland. Their style of marching is somewhat strange to our eyes, but their fighting qualities are renowned. Polish soldiers in Scotland have infected the local lasses with the desire to learn a few Polish folk dances, and the girls can only do the thing properly by wearing the national costume. So the boys lead the girls a dance, and the general effect is not unlike a combination of the sailor's hornpipe and bumps-a-daisy.
In the 1970s, Barony Castle was owned by Polishman Jan Tomaszek. Jan stayed in Scotland after the war and married a local girl. He described the map as a gift to the Scottish people for the friendship they showed. Over the years, the map fell into disrepair. But 7 years ago, a group of volunteers calling themselves Mapa Scotland set about its restoration.
If you look over in that bottom corner there, this was all covered in weeds. I thought it was a big pond, and I couldn't understand why you make a pond this big, and I couldn't understand why you made it. I thought, I didn't realise that was concrete. I thought it was bedrock, and it was only when I walked around the map and I got around to the southern end of the map that I actually realised I was looking at Mulla Galloway. And then when I looked back up, I realised what the rest of the map was, that it was all of Scotland. I just couldn't believe it.
What were you thinking when you actually it dawned that it was this vast map?
I just couldn't understand why anybody would want to build a map like this.
This is a true soldier's map. Relief models like this were vital to the planning of military campaigns during World War II. The map even has a water system that fills the rivers, lochs and seas around Scotland.
This really must have brought the two countries together, Scotland and Poland.
Oh, it definitely has. It's meant a great deal. Initially, our interest was purely in the map and restoring the map. And then, as you can see from this board in front of us, when we realised the significance it had, it represents a bond between Scotland and Poland.
So you feel a real affinity to the people of Poland through this map?
Absolutely, yeah.
How are you and your team going to feel when you see this, the water's in, it's just about finished, you've got this fantastic map of Scotland?
Oh, it would be absolutely tremendous. We'll just feel so proud of having been involved in it and kicking it off, because this map is going to be here for a long, long time.
Even though it's in the process of being restored, the map still attracts visitors from all over the world.
What are you guys making of this then?
Well, I'm a bit surprised. I thought it was going to be something just carved in a little rock. I didn't expect the size of this.
My father's Polish, so
Your father's Polish?
yeah, so we thought to come up and have a look. Yeah.
So does it feel a bit emotional when you think that this was built by Polish people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had to see what was going on. It was good, yeah.
I'd like to see it when it was finished, and you could see the colours of the different peaks and the troughs and the lochs, and, you know, it'd be pretty impressive, I think.
You've just been looking at the map. What did you think of it?
It's very impressive, actually, because I'm a sculptor myself, and I appreciate three-dimensional subjects like that. I think they're doing a great job. It's very unusual, because I'd never heard of it until recently, you know. I don't think it's general knowledge that map exists, you know. I like the way it's presented in a circular way, where you can walk right round it, you know. I really enjoyed that. and you can see it from all different directions, you know.
I met up with Lynn, one of the first volunteers to work on the restoration.
Do you think we're allowed to sit on the map? I think it's okay. It's okay, is it? And what's brought you along to do this?
Just my interest in maps, really. I've always liked maps, and I always knew this was here. I have come and visited it over the years, and then when I heard it was a volunteer group, I just thought, well, I've got to get involved in that.
What was it like? Did you actually get in there with your bare hands?
Yes. You have gloves on, and it's mainly trowels and small hammers and brushes and buckets you're working with, just taking away all the old rubble. That's basically it, old rubble and weeds. My family will laugh at me because they always tease me about being keen on maps, but to me, to do something in a real live map's just excellent. It's great fun. It's the largest one of its kind in the world, and you will never get the chance to work on something like this again.
It's going to be a very rude question, this, but you know, they say women are no good with maps.
I know they do say
You
that.
obviously are.
I think I know quite a few women who are good with maps and who'd rather lose a map than a sat nav, and that's me.
The restoration is now in its final stages, and specialist contractors have been brought in. It's a dirty and dusty job. Today, they're putting down sealant that will stop the water from draining away.
Put in the water supply, and these pop-ups every so often, and they come down the mountains, fill up the rivers and the glens and back into the sea.
So where we're actually standing here, we're standing in the middle of the sea, aren't we?
That's right, yeah.
David, what sort of project has this been for you?
Well, it's certainly been different. It's been enjoyable doing this type of work. It's different from what we usually do.
What would you usually do then?
Well, forestry roads, just anything, putting in drains.
This is something to tell your grandchildren, isn't
Yeah,
it? That you worked
yeah.
on the map of Scotland.
It certainly is.
Well, I'm at the very top of Scotland, just heading over Cape Wrath, en route to John O'Groats, where there's a man who's busy with something. Scott, what are you up to here?
We're just bringing the water in through the wall here. It's coming from the burn, and it's going to flood like the North Sea and put water up onto the mountains.
What sort of project has this been to work on?
No, it's been very good. I mean, we've been trying to work out where is on the map. We've had our lunch on Ben Nevis, which we never got the chance of doing before, but no, it's certainly different, and we never knew it was here, so that's another interesting thing about it.
So, Scott, looking at this map, whereabouts do you live?
Just down at the Blue Drums there, it's a little town called Biggar in South Lanarkshire, so I started there this morning, and now I'm working up at John O'Groats.
And if you feel a bit homesick, you can just always go back, can't
just
you?
go back.
Absolutely. Now, geography was never my best subject at school, but let's try and work this out. I think that is the Mull of Galloway. And if we go round the coast here, that must be Kirkcudbrightshire, followed by Dumfriesshire. And if I climb up here, we're getting into the Scottish borders, right along here and up. Over here, I think, is Peebles, but I might be wrong.
It used to be said that you could see the whole of Scotland from one of the hotel windows. With the restoration of the map, staff are hoping it'll become a big attraction.
It's of great public interest. We have people coming from all over our country and actually the world as well coming to see it. There's a great interest in something that has been forgotten being found and taken back to its former glory.
The map of Scotland is really putting this hotel on the map, isn't it?
It was an unknown until about 5 to 10 years ago when it was discovered. So it's certainly bringing a lot of people to the area that we have never been before and didn't know anything about the Scottish borders. I think there's a lot of anticipation. People really want to come when it is completely finished. It'll look absolutely fantastic.
So, if you're passing through Edelston, don't drive through without visiting the great Polish map of Scotland. It's a remarkable thank you from men to whom we also owe a huge debt of gratitude.